About 3 weeks prior to purchasing my next car flip, my good friend over at Cool Restoration sent me a link of a car that I knew I had to place a bid on. It was a 2006 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited. But what was very unique about this car was the fact that this car did not have any wheels. Which, yes, that meant that this was going to be another theft recovery purchase. A day before the tow driver brought the car down to Portland from Spokane, Washington, I went and found 4 Jeep tires. When I was searching for wheels, the newer model Jeep wheels were actually a lot cheaper than the 2006 version wheels, but that did mean that I would have to go and pick up spacers for the wheels. I have the tires all loaded up right behind me and I am headed to the parking lot. The goal is to hopefully, if all the rotors are good, all the threads are great, I'm gonna go ahead and pop on all these wheels onto the car so we can load it onto the flatbed of my dad, who is actually right behind me. Hopefully we'll pick up this car. My hope is that all that needs to be done are the 4 new tires need to be placed on it. I'm expecting the worst, but hoping for the best. So let's see what happens. So I just showed up. Here it is. This one needs to be pushed in. Overall, I mean, it's looking quite nice. I'm not seeing anything that's really sticking out to me that is making the car look bad. Let's check out the interior. The seats in the back are missing, so we do not have that. We do need to purchase those. Key ignition is not messed up, but you never know. Sometimes when these cars get stolen, someone sticks a key in there and then it ends up getting stuck, and then you still have to go ahead and repair it, even though it doesn't look like it needs repairing done. This definitely feels like it's switching when you go up and down, because if you guys remember with the Jeep that I mentioned, it was unlinked underneath and I didn't even know about it until the clients showed up. So this does feel like it is connected. The next thing that I want to do is actually pop open the hood and kind of see what's underneath here. If anything's missing, if anything is standing out abruptly. It is looking pretty clean underneath. Nothing is really standing out too much. Check the level here. Looks good. Next thing we need to do is check the oil level to see if anything looks off. Looks like some good old oil. Anything stands out with the dipstick? Oil looks good. Can't really tell if the catalytic converter was cut out or not, just because of the car being so low to the ground. But we're gonna go ahead and put these wheels on, because once we do that, it'll be a lot more accessible. While my dad is backing up, the moment of truth, we will see if these lug nuts are the correct ones, and I'm really hoping they are. Let's see. Perfect. Yes, they are. So the goal right now is to put down these rear tow hitches down underneath, lift it up, put the front 2 tires on, and then do the same thing with the back 2 tires. Little unforeseen situation that we're having right now is the lug nuts that I ended up purchasing to screw onto the spacer. They're too long, so if I screw in the spacer, I won't be able to bolt on or screw on the wheel itself. As you see, the car has no tires still. The lug nuts will be coming tomorrow, the correct ones, off Amazon, so hopefully those will do the magic and we'll be able to put the tires on tomorrow. But to give a quick overview of this car, to be honest, besides the tires being missing, this car is in immaculate condition. If the only issue are the tires with this car, once this car gets cleaned up, detailed inside and out, it's going to be ready for sale, and hopefully this could be a quick flip. Well, the locksmith guy just stopped by and he made a key for the Jeep, so I have a first start to see exactly how it works, and I'm hoping it sounds good. But he told me that this car feels a little weird, but I don't know. Let's give it a start and see what he actually meant. I don't see any dash lights, so that is really nice. I don't want to have it running too long just because it's sitting on the ground, and I don't know if that's going to cause any damages to the car. So I'm going to wait until we put the tires on, and then we'll figure out whether or not exactly there's anything wrong with it, because I don't see any check engine lights. But we won't really find out if it's a perfect car until we drive it. After the third time of ordering these lug nuts, the correct ones finally came in. And one of my friends is stopping by right now with a hydraulic jack that he says he has that will be able to lift up the car. We're gonna take the spacers, we're gonna put the spacers on, we're gonna put these lug nuts onto the spacers so that we can put the tire on and put the other lug nuts onto the tire. Will it work? We're about to find out. When we first started screwing on the lug nuts, it seemed like I had purchased the wrong ones again. But after applying a little more force, they went on with no issues. We jacked up the front end to give ourselves some more space to install the wheels. After putting on the wheels, we realized we were supposed to install the wheel hub first and then screw on the lug nuts. So we ended up removing them, putting the wheel hub on, and tightening the lug nuts again. We repeated this step for the front two tires. The reason we only did the front two tires is because the rear tires were an adventure of their own. When we began installing the rear tires, we noticed that the entire rear brake pad system was misaligned, and parts of the system were missing. I quickly ran to AutoZone, which conveniently had exactly what I needed. There was one of each in stock. Got lucky this time. With the parts in hand, we reassembled the rear brake pads and installed the tires, and this finally brought the car back to looking normal. Well, great news, the tires are finally on the car and we are about to take it on the first little test drive down the road here. You ready? Let's see how this thing runs. With the wheels installed, it was time to start adding the interior pieces that were missing when I first got the car. Both of these sun visor brackets were broken, so replacing them was the next step. I picked up a replacement set on Amazon for about $20. Getting the new brackets into the existing visors turned out to be a bit more challenging than I expected. So I ended up doing it off camera, but eventually we got them to work. The car also came without a rear seat or seat belts. And for those of you familiar with these Jeeps, you know that the rear seats aren't cheap. I ended up digging around on eBay to find the exact color match, which was not easy to find. After a few days of searching, I found the exact color I was looking for. The seat alone ended up costing me $449. The seat did not come with any seat belts, therefore I had to purchase them separately. I did go through a few trial and errors with them since the initial ones that I purchased did not fit. When I did find the ones I was looking for, I ran into the issue of not having enough bolts to screw in the seat belt. The seat belts and a new set of seatbelt bolts ended up costing me $266.08. Once I finally had everything I needed, I cut out the carpet board to make space for the rear seat belts to slide through. I did run into a problem of not being able to unscrew the top bolt of the seat belt, even with an impact drill. Eventually, I was able to get it out with the help of a friend and his more advanced tools. Next, the car was in dire need of an oil change. This is where the drain plug is, and that is where the oil filter is. Sheesh. Glad we're replacing that now with some fresh oil. Alright, so I was able to find the trick. Basically, I had to grab it with my left hand. There you go, it's budging just a little bit. Oh, I just love these messes that these oil filters make. I gotta make sure if it's neutral or not. Wait, is it neutral? When the car arrived, it had an aftermarket radio, which unfortunately was not usable since the front lid was missing. I thought it would be a good idea to look around for that front lid, but soon I realized that installing an OEM radio was much cheaper. I ended up finding a used OEM radio on eBay for $89. The installation process was extremely easy. The next item on the to-do list was the spare tire. I did end up having to buy another spacer, unfortunately, since the first set came in a set of 4. The process was exactly the same as when I was installing all the other 4 missing tires. Thinking that I had completed fixing all the issues, I noticed that both turn signals were blinking very quickly. That was a clear indicator that the light bulbs went out. After taking off the rear taillight covers, I discovered that both of the rear taillight bulbs were completely missing. Why would they be missing? I have no clue. Maybe insurance fraud, who knows. Anyways, I got both of the bulbs replaced and the turn signals were working good as new. After fixing all the issues, I began using the car as a daily for a few weeks. That's when when I realized that from time to time the car was making these sudden jolts. I didn't think much of it, but I still decided to look under the car, and that is when I realized something crucial. The transmission crossmember skid tray was bent sideways because 2 screws on the right side of the tray were completely missing. The purpose of this tray is to hold up the transmission in place, and with it being so loose, it most likely caused the transmission and transfer case to lose its main support, causing jolts from time to time. With all the problems finally addressed, I decided to add these grill inserts to the Jeep, and I personally love how they turned out. It was finally time to get it cleaned up and posted on Facebook Marketplace to sell. Cleaning really did not take a long time since the car was already in great shape. After posting it for sale, it took me about 2 weeks to get my first interested buyer to stop by. After taking it for a quick test drive, he absolutely loved it. My price in mind was $12,500 that I would have been fine selling it for. He ended up offering,
Oh, would you take 13?
to which I responded,
About 13.5. I didn't do that.
after we shook hands and signed paperwork.
Yes, hello. Transaction complete.